the great southern land. We stand on sacred ground and keep you bumping to these native sounds from the land of the kangaroo.
To me, what this particular celebration represents is a change. It's changing the imagery and the picture of who we are as black people. By skin, by blood, we come from thousands of generations, and we've got to a point now where we need to start thinking about what we need to do in terms of providing better opportunities for our children. We're really just going to celebrate pathways, a consortium of a small group of people who've come together with collective skills, knowledge in an industry, but also a passion for delivering some change and opportunity for other people. And that's something that you should be very proud of.
Titan bari dango, danang maranga titana paria. Now what I said there was my grandfathers and grandmothers belong to this country. Our river, our plains and hills, from the mountains to the coast, Dangari belongs to this country. I belong to this country. You all be well in this country. Through my observations, I have seen changes not only for the young people who have been travelling over to the Pilbera and working, but also to their families. And just looking at the agenda, no doubt you'll hear a lot of these stories. But Wendy and Brad and their crew, I believe they've done a great service for this community and the enthusiasm that they've brought to our people. As Grant mentioned earlier, job opportunities are far and few between in this community unless those jobs are generated through our Aboriginal organisations. But out there in the private sector, it's very, very difficult to secure a pathway to a career.
We're coming together today for the futures of our young people, our children. I was born and schooled here in Dungari country. I went to Kempsey High School and I went to West Kempsey Primary School, eating catfish from the river and pippies from the beach. And I moved to WA prospecting for gold, and I came home about 5 years ago, knowing that the resource sector in Western Australia held opportunities for traditional owners from all over the country. Mining companies have a social responsibility to provide opportunities for Aboriginal people and adhere to their Indigenous engagement strategies. Pathways to the Pilbara became a broker between the mob and between the mining companies. It's seen lots of people successfully complete that required training, and those guys are now earning over $100,000 a year. Now, because of that initial training, they're qualified doggers, riggers, scaffolders and operators, and just moving forward with their careers. Part of our job now is to go out and create relationships with traditional owners on country where the mining activity is taking place, to introduce our people into their country. Watch your space, because we're hoping to have Pathways to the Pilbara framework set up all over the country to make sure that Aboriginal people can maximise those opportunities that are there in the resource sector. And that's the way we're moving ahead.
As a country, government and private sector can learn a lot from what you're actually doing as Pathways. You're providing opportunities for people in a very culturally respectful and dignified way, but you're acknowledging that there's family, there's kinship, and there's shame, and there's all other elements that you have to deal with. It's a difficult pathway that you've got to take people on, and it's the mentoring and support that you do that I think underpins your success, and that's something that other industry and government should come and have a look at and learn from what you're doing, because we need to invest, and the word invest is a more dignified term, I think, that should be used in terms of Aboriginal people. We need to invest in who we are, and that's what you're doing.
So I was here a couple of years ago, I think, when we had a community consultation day with everybody bringing ideas forward and trying to find a way forward to do something about low unemployment in the area. And I, as I said, I'm really looking forward to hearing the success stories and the things that have happened here. And I am proud that I have been part of that.
Because if I was to go into politics, I'd actually proudly get up and acknowledge my presence on Ngunnawal country as part of that, my maiden speech, but I'd also rattle off a proper acknowledgement to the Wurundjeri, the Bunurong, the Gunai Kurnai, the Kaurna, the Noongar people, Yamaji people, Maru people, Yaru people, Walpri people, Aranda, Jawan, Larrakia, Yolnu, Lado, and several hundred other traditional custodian groups. And I'd like to see our Parliament get the words right, because if they're going to close the gap in Aboriginal affairs, they've got to know who they're dealing with. If we're going to close the gap on Dungari country, well, we've got to speak to Dungari people. You've got a wonderful council of elders here already, and they're doing some remarkable jobs as well behind the scenes. To close the gap across any of these communities across Australia, we've got to know who we're speaking with. And today we're on Dungari country. We don't need to worry about the rest of the country. This is your business here.
And I also like to mention the future of the Dungari people. A lot of you guys are sitting out there in fluorescent shirts today, which is a very proud sight for me to see, because I know we've got some good role models for the future. The changes in the past years, the past 3 years have been great for Aboriginal employment, and will get better in the years to come. But it's great to see that young people are going to have some employment in the future. The biggest change in employment for Kempsey, especially for Aboriginal people, is the pathway to Pilberas. You know, when the pathway to Pilberas, before they came, we had limited opportunities of employment in Kempsey. Our people wanted to work, our young guys wanted to work, but they had no opportunities back then, and then the bypass come, and you know, still wandering in. With the employment here in Kempsey, and going back over a long period of time, I worked up at the hospital for 26 years, and in that time there wasn't many Aboriginal people working here. And it was sad, because when I was growing up, there was work nearly everywhere. There was the mills. My father worked with Bob Watts as the sanitary picks up. When the old toilets were outside, my father worked on that, and I didn't want to follow in his footsteps. But now things have changed. You see the changes in our streets. I mean, I walked out front of the police station there a couple of months back, and Jake drove past in the Commodore. Highway patrol bloke said, "Who's that, Brownie?" I said, "Oh, that's Jake. He's working over the mines." 10 minutes later, Nigel drives past in the black Commodore. "Who's that, Brownie?" "Oh, that's Nigel. He works over in the mines," I said. So, and then somebody else drove past, I think it was Dave Bolt. "Don't tell me, Brownie, he works at the mines." I said, "You're right." Because with everybody now got good cars and driving around, because the guys worked out on the highway and that, they've got cars and things like that, so they don't bother to ask anymore about this guy. What are they doing driving in those cars? Go to school, get yourself a licence, because a licence to us people as Aboriginal people is like the HSC to a non-Aboriginal person. If you can get a licence, and putting the pressure on Brad and Wendy again, go and see Brad and Wendy, you're almost guaranteed to go over the mines. So that's what I tell the young people today. Go and get yourself an education with the knowledge to get a licence, because it's great to see you around. If this is going to work in Kempsey, and if we can get something right in Kempsey, everywhere else in New South Wales will follow, because there's simple little things that could make a hell of a difference in somebody's life. If you get these people away from Kempsey into a job or an opportunity anywhere else, not only in the mines, but anywhere else in Australia, you get them away from Kempsey, they go away and make it a man of themselves or a lady of themselves, and they come back here, they're better people for it. And if they're better people for it, then Kempsey's a better place to have these people. But right along the north coast now, and inland to Armidale and other places like that, some of these guys have gone over there. Now their town's got role models in them. They don't play football, they don't play cricket. Our role models are actually working. Proud Aboriginal people working. And we haven't had that before. You know, the greatest feeling I've ever seen was the smile on these kids' face, and the mothers and the partners when they're walking out of Woolies or Coles or IGA and that. Before they used to push one trolley, now they're pushing two. Toys, never heard of before. They had to sacrifice. Oh, I've got to pay this, I've got to pay that, son, I can't buy you that there toy, wait till Santa. Now they're getting it middle year, so Christmas in January, February, March, April, May. When Daddy comes home, they're all getting toys. So, you know, for these kids, it's something wonderful to see. I've seen guys that's been bonging and drinking it for the last 40 years of their lives. All of a sudden they're clean, walking around, all dressed up, clean shaved and everything. Putting a bit of weight on here, you know. And it's never happened in Kempsey before, but all of a sudden it's happening. And you know, these kids are smiling, Dad's coming home and that. And you know, not only that, is the other kids that's coming through now have these people to look up to. How much you getting? 4,000 a month maybe, you know.
But it's also meeting the needs of the mining companies. It's also meeting the needs of the actual workers that are going to take up these roles. Their, you know, training needs, their personal needs, the social supports. There is so much that has to be considered. And Pathways to the Pilbera just gave everything so much attention to detail. And, you know, I think that's key to their success. When Wendy first came to me, I said to her about this program, I said, if we're going to make this work, Wendy, there has to be a couple of things. You know, we have to start with getting mining companies on board. There has to be demand for us to get this across the line. And also, we have to have community support behind us as well to make this happen. People have to want it. We've still got a way to go. We still want to get more investment from more mining companies, you know, to continue this program on into the future.
In the early days, Brad and Wendy started this company up with nothing but their love for our Aboriginal community, and they can see working with Aboriginal, I think. You can see all the Aboriginal people out in work. So they mortgaged the house and done everything. They battled and struggled, and kids just be in the room there when we were doing classes and stuff like that, you know, and they did it on their own without anyone else's help. And they've seen the potential there, and I'm pleased that it worked out for them and for the community of Kempsey. Old fellow like me can go out there, there's a lot of young fellas out there can go out there, and a lot of older fellas, which I know for a fact that they used to bong and drink, and they thought 40 years or 30 years of age, their life was finished. They were just sitting there waiting to die or whatever. But now, those people got off the drink, got off the bongs, and they're out there working, and they love it, and they can't get enough work. And they also are now a role model for older people going out there. The young kids look up to the older people in the community, and they follow their footsteps. There are Pacific jobs, and you guys sitting here on your butts doing nothing, you should look at the company where you want to go and what opportunities there. If there's a forklift or if it's a dump truck you want to do, well, target that and get your foot in the door in that area, then you can branch out once you get in there. It's up to you guys. Not going to come into one page, one page saying what you did all your life. You're trying to get some experience under your belt, and sometimes you might have to bluff a little bit with it, but that's life. Everyone does it, you know. So you need to do that and get a good resume up and have some experience in what you can do, and it'll work for you. You need to know what you want to do. So talk to Brad and Wendy and sit down with them and what's available and where you want to go to and stuff like that. But there's plenty of work. Don't listen to the radio. There's work there. These people with all this money in their pocket, come and talk to a financial advisor or someone like that that can help them control their money instead of going back out. I've been out there, I see these people coming back there, not only our mob, the Noongar people come back out there, nothing in the pocket. Just lend them $50 till payday, you know, and they went home with $10,000 in the pocket and come back 7 days later with nothing, you know. So you need to manage the money you got and make best use of it, you know. I was paying $2,700 a fortnight in tax. That's more than you guys will get in a month, you know. So it tells you there's opportunity there, but you've got to make the first move. And
I was like about $600 a week, you know, busting myself, slaving the trade. And I think, oh, there's got to be something better than this. And I was reading in the Argus, the local paper, pathways to the Pilbera. I think, oh yeah, give him a call. So I'll ring him up. And yeah, I started talking to Wendy. First person answered the phone. She says, oh yeah, just come over, fill out the form, do a little bit of training, done the training. I waited a little bit, done an interview with Monadelphous company. And I went all right in it. I was a bit nervous and stuff, but yeah, got through it. And at the end of it, he said, oh, when can you start? I said, as soon as you chuck me on the plane. Yeah, and I got over there and I just sat down, ass up. First paycheck, or the first month's paycheck, was about 11 grand, 12 grand. I was, oh, gosh, you know, I felt really good. But yeah, I was, didn't budget myself for the first time I was over there, flying back and forwards. I've only just organised myself, structured myself properly, house and the kids. I was supposed to go and sell my house off today, got approved for a home loan. Oh yeah, I've been flying in and out since August last year. I was just pulled up at a they got me on the, my job out there is driving the flatbeds, 6 to 9 tonner trucks and forklift telehandlers. If I would have stayed over here working, it would have took me like 30 years to own it. You know, that's slaving the trades around here, hunting for the next job. But over there, I can own this house in about 4 years, what I worked out on this budget.
Our employment program is about offering opportunities and growing the lives, I guess, of our employees, whether they be Aboriginal or non-Aboriginal. Last year, we employed over 60 Aboriginal people from Kempsey. Kempsey provides more employees to Monadelphous than any other place in Australia. It is by far the best service provider we've engaged with. We have retention rates amongst our Aboriginal population equal to and greater than our mainstream employment. So over everybody, around about 85%. Now, when we look at that, think about some of the disadvantages that a lot of Aboriginal employees come to us from, with a lack of work history, with a lack of skills perhaps, and yet they're able to engage and remain with us. The question obviously is, why does that happen? And it's quite simply because of the program that Wendy and Brad have established over here, because they're realistic with the people who want to come and work with us, because it's not an easy game working in the remote areas. The program, the pre-employment program, is the key to the success of the employment, because it builds in not just work skills, but life skills. It's things about time management, it's about financial management, it's about healthy lifestyles. When you people let your husbands, wives, sons, fathers, mothers go away to work with us, they're going for 4 weeks. They're up 4 a.m. and they don't get back to the camp till probably 6:30 at night. And they do it for 26 days out of 25 out of 26 days they do it. They have 1 day off, an RDO. You've got to be able to survive that. The industry we're in is about setting you up for life, and you can do it. Ray's just pointed that out. He's gone buying his house. He can buy it and pay for it in 4 years. You don't have to commit to a 20 to 30 year life in the remotes. But what it will do, it will enable you to get that establishment behind you. You can get your house, you can get your car, and then you can come back and you can work in a job which doesn't pay as much, but it allows you to live comfortably. And that's what we would encourage you to do. We've got a lot of guys at the moment who are demobilised. It was that word that was brought up. It's a horrible word. Tara and I spent a lot of time in Port Hedland because we ended up, actually, by the way, we ended up with 115 Aboriginal employees in Port Hedland out of a total of 1,400. 9%, which was by far greater than anyone else in the construction industry. The nature of our work is that we do contracts and then we demobilise. It's 9, 12, 18 months and then that project finishes and we have to come off site, obviously, we hand over. I remember when we first went up there, and we'd had people who'd been working for us for about 9 months and they were saying, oh, I'm getting the sack. And it's just getting that concept that you're not getting the sack, mate, You've got to just accept that another opportunity will come, but it might be a few months because obviously we're bound by the tenders that we put in and the contracts we win. And it's really important, therefore, you do put money aside, that you do prepare yourself for that bit of downtime. It may not be long. We've got some guys who come off and then in a couple of weeks they're back on another job. And while I'm talking about that, I'll just quickly touch on another really important aspect, and that is your performance assessments. And that is, that's the basis upon which not all further employment is based, but it does have an impact. Our supervisors are asked, would you re-employ this person? Yes, no, maybe. Now, if you get a no, it makes it really tough because at the end of the day, your next job is based upon the approval by the project manager for that next job, not by Tara or Christina. They'll put their name forward, but they don't get to tick off on that person getting the job. So it's really important, guys, that you have good assessment sheets, that you keep yourself fit, that you work hard, and that, you do as well as you can. Taking the most of opportunities and working hard, success will come, and you can get yourselves out of any sort of hole that you think you might be in, and you can have a fulfilling life.
I first came through Pathways, started last year. Just talked to them and then they put me through some training. Got an opportunity to start with a company called JSW Australia, which is a drilling company. So they offered me that position, I took that. And it was some of the hardest work I've ever done. Very dirty and muddy, but the money was good, so that's all that mattered at the time. And then stayed with them for about 6 months. Become redundant because they didn't have no more work. So then I was out of work for about, 2 months or something like that. And again, went back to Pathways and they helped me out again, offered me a position with Monadelphous. So I started with Monadelphous November last year. Started out as a TA. About 4 or 5 months later, they promoted me up to a plant operator. So I just operated trucks, telehandlers and forklifts at the moment. So it's a bit different to working on the ground. I've got to watch what I eat because I'm just sitting down all day, so I've got a diet. I enjoy working with Monadelphous. It's a good company, they look after us. I'm currently on R&R, I fly back this Sunday. Then I'm doing a week's course in Perth, doing my basic rigging. So they put me through that as well, that's another ticket for me. And I've got a 100% tendency record since November last year. So that's pretty proud of myself. And I just want to thank Brad and Wendy and for everything you've given me and all the advice and giving me a start in the mining industry. I enjoy it. Plan to stay there for a while.
The biggest thrill for us as a training company is to see people that have come from varying different backgrounds, but achieving something and walk away with the confidence in their own abilities. Everybody can train and learn, but it's about attitudes and it's about walking away believing in yourself. And hopefully that's what we've tried to do as part of the training process.
I'm Rosalind Mosley. I'm a very, very proud Dunghutti woman. I like to acknowledge my past and my present and the future where it's taken me in my journey. I'm a mother of 4 children, and I'm also from a teaching background from early childhood. Seeing the big feedbacks that are coming from the mums and dads that have already gone on from Kempsey onto the mining industries particular and the roads. The kids, the impact that has come through the children through their beautiful art drawings. The drawings are full of happiness. The drawings are full of aeroplanes where their daddies are or their mums have been. Coming into preschool, looking like little $1 million, being proud of all their little clothing, their shoes, and just hearing great feedbacks and the little stories and holidays. This is really Kids Matter and Wellbeing. This is the start of early childhood where it does count, where that fluctuation, when it's a happy home, happy mums and dads, great employment, the health issue rates start to pick up. The kids' well-being is picking up. The whole process of Kempsey, our looking of Kempsey, people are ringing here, looking for jobs now. The high school kids are starting to have a pathway to look forward to. They know there's more opportunities and journeys out there to look forward to. They can see the big production line that is coming into Kempsey. I took a challenge personally that I did when I looked at that mine site. Yeah, I'm the one that never ever drove a manual. I was kind of more feared of driving a manual than the truck. But Tim gave me that time and took me out back driving actually before I actually got onto the site to drive it. And once again, I felt that great that I could drive it, the confidence and how Tim made me feel relaxed. And like my next car is going to be a manual because I feel very confident now. And also looking at those trucks in the mine, my legs were going real jello. Same as most of my other 2 girls there. I was just going, oh God. But my biggest challenge, I think, is when I went to Sydney, actually drove the heavy vehicle truck in Liverpool, and it was loads of traffic there, and I was going, oh my goodness, I hope I don't kill anyone here. And it was a big prayer and put all my faith into believing, because I tell you what, I had to believe in myself to achieve that.
Well, at school, we didn't really have much opportunities to see what we had going in this community. Everything else was based in cities, interstate, just everywhere else but here. I went and pursued university after school. I really didn't find that that's something I wanted to do, so I decided, well, might as well go out in the workforce and see where that takes me. I would work down in Sydney doing just office admin stuff. I came back home and it wasn't until I heard that there's something for the mining industry. I should actually go and pursue this. This is actually a better way for me to obtain the things that I've always wanted in life, to be able to get out and do something with myself. I went and approached Brad and Wendy, and yeah, they gave me the rundown on how to get into it, what I needed to do, what tickets I needed, all that stuff. I pretty much harassed them every week. I went to the office. Well, I got told that I needed to show my face there all the time, so I think I may have overdid it. Then they'd give me a job just to stop me from going in. As a member of the Monadelphous employment, it's been great. The company's been taking care of me. I first started up in Port Hedland, working at Finucane Island just as a TA for the riggers. It was a bit of an eye-opener. My first day there, I have never worked in so much heat and humidity in my life. I had all these thoughts going through my head, would it be all worth it? So, you know, with the awkward thoughts in the back of my mind, all of a sudden my first paycheck came and I realised to myself, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is well worth it. And now I've been working for Monadelphous it's coming up to a year soon. you know, it's been a pleasure to work with this mob. And as I was talking, as Rob said earlier, that I approached him and I asked him within my first 2 weeks of how to get somewhere. I've always been a person that's always wanted to know to take every opportunity I can.
I think that we can see that pathways to the Pilbara have many dimensions. We've seen that today in the stories that we've heard. We've seen people with a vision, using their past experience in mining, training, recruitment, people that know the value of partnership and collaboration. We've seen that in spades today. They have successfully worked with the federal government, mining companies, training companies, local companies, to progress pathways to where it is today. And after having many conversations with Wendy over the years, I'm not at all surprised to see what we see today. And now we see people in work. We see Aboriginal people in work. People experiencing the value of work, the value of learning, the value of teams. And I would suggest, from what we've seen through the stories that we've heard today, people valuing their own self-worth. And that is so very, very important. The economic benefits that flow from money brought back into the community is significant, and we need to acknowledge that. But I would say, just as importantly, Pathways is a company developing people, and it is people that makes up our valley. So congratulations to Pathways, management, the staff trainees, the program graduates, the people that we've seen talk today. Thank you for your stories. On behalf of Kempsey Shire and the whole of the Macleay Valley community, I wish you every continued success for the future, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about Pathways to the Pilbara.
All the Monterey's, all the Coolers, all the Coolers, can you hear me? All the Lungas, all the Mountain Cars, all the Bumma, can you hear us? All the Wonkai, all the Yamati.